Welcome to our course on Introduction to Electric Vehicles and Hybrid Electric Vehicles. This course is designed to provide you with a comprehensive understanding of the fundamentals, principles, technologies and trends in the rapidly evolving field of electric and hybrid electric vehicles, which are revolutionizing the transportation sector. If you are curious about the future of transportation, you are in the right place. In this course, we are going to dive into the exciting world of vehicles that are changing how we drive, reduce our impact on the environment and shape the future's transportation system. I am Dr. R. N. Patel, course coordinator for this course, professor at UTDC Institute Bhilai, and my co-coordinator is Dr. Lalit Kumar Sahu from NIT Raipur. We also have other experts in this course like Dr. Venu Swanti is from NIT Raipur, Dr. Hemachandra Alam Sethi is from NIT Pondicherry, Mr. Yugal Kishore is the industry expert and Mr. Akhilesh Kumar Tiwari is a researcher in the electric vehicle field. So, the following are the course objectives. The first is to develop a solid understanding on the fundamentals of electric vehicular technology and its underlying principles. Next objective is to explore the components and systems of electrified vehicles including propulsion, energy storage, control strategies and charging infrastructure. Next objective is to investigate emerging trends and future developments in electric vehicular technology. Then we will study and understand the different standards, policy guidelines along with societal, environmental and economical impact of vehicular electrification. Keeping these objectives in mind, let us delve into the course content and what the learners will learn in this comprehensive course on Introduction to Electric and Hybrid Electric Vehicles. This is a 4-credit course. This entire course is divided into 12 weeks with 40 lectures. First, we will discuss the overview of the course and history and impact of electric vehicle along with emergence and need for vehicular electrification. Then we will discuss about the basic electric vehicle dynamics and internal combustion engine vehicles. Then we will discuss about the basic of electric vehicle and hybrid electric vehicle, their configuration and operations. We will also discuss about the basics of plug-in hybrid electric vehicles and fuel cell vehicles and compare the performances. Followed by that, we will discuss the fundamentals of electric propulsion system and constituent technologies such as battery, motor and controller. Followed by that, we will discuss energy sources and storage systems for electric vehicles and hybrid electric vehicles. Then we will discuss about the electric motors and their control mechanisms. We will also discuss introduction to charging station system and their architecture and their configuration and their operation and control. Charging stations are very important components, so we will be taking quite a bit of interest in this subject. Then we will also discuss about thermal management of electric vehicles and hybrid electric vehicles. You all know that the batteries heating is an important problem. So, in this section we will discuss about the thermal management of batteries. Then we will discuss about emerging trends and advancement in electric vehicle technology. Finally, we will discuss about the policy standards, guidelines and economics of electric vehicles. So, many governments are taking initiatives and there are a lot of policies nationally and internationally which are very important for us to know. So, what are the course outcomes? The first outcome of this course is that you will be able to learn the configuration, dynamics and working of vehicular system and associated components. Then you can also understand the working and operation of electric vehicles, hybrid electric vehicles and fuel cell vehicles. You can analyze the role of electric propulsion system and its parts such as electric motor, storage systems, power converters etc. in the development of electric vehicles. You will also be able to classify and understand about electric vehicle charging system and associated technologies. You can also explain the emerging trends and challenges in this electric vehicle field and hybrid electric technologies. Finally, the student will be able to understand the policy standards and guidelines of electric vehicles. Of course, the most important outcome of this course is that you will get a certificate of completion as per Swayam guidelines. Now, let us see who can join the course. So, this course can be attended by diploma students, undergraduate students, PG students along with the other people who are in general maybe enthusiastic about cars. If you are very enthusiastic to know about the future of the transportation and electric vehicles, you will gain a deeper appreciation of the engineering behind these. Environmental advocates also are the persons who can learn how EVs can play significant role in reducing the carbon footprints and contribute to cleaner planet. Other candidates are future thinkers who can understand how the rise of electric vehicle will impact urban planning, energy infrastructure and the automotive industry as a whole. Finally, electric vehicle buyers are also right candidates for this course. If you are considering to buy electric vehicle or hybrid electric vehicle, this course will equip you with the knowledge you need to make an informed choice about which vehicle to buy. We are excited to embark on this journey with you as we explore the fantastic world of electric and hybrid electric vehicle. Your active participation and curiosity will be key to making this course a rewarding experience for all. Thank you for joining us, and let us get started with this first lecture on history of transportation system. So, let us see briefly of the history of transportation system, and then we will also discuss about the history of electric vehicles. So, the first thing in the human history of transportation was human and animal power. In early human history, transportation was limited to walking and the use of animals such as horses, donkeys, oxen and camels. Domestication of these animals revolutionized transportation by allowing for longer distance and heavier loads. Then the most important invention of wheel greatly enhanced the transportation and the trade. It led to development of cars and chariots. So, once the wheel was invented, there was a lot of different cars and chariots which were used. Wheeled carts and chariots increased the speed and efficiency of transporting goods and people. With the development of wheeled and the chariots and carts, there was development of road network. The invention of the wheel led to efficient road network like those in Roman Empire, facilitating trade and military movement. Simultaneously, maritime trade flourished with the use of sailing ships and advancement in navigation. Next era was the era of steam power revolution. The industrial revolution introduced steam power, transforming transportation with the advent of steamboats and locomotives. This accelerated the movement of goods and people and revolutionized trade and travel. The invention of internal combustion engine was a major milestone. The IC engines which are very popular, which gave rise to automobiles, granting unprecedented personal mobility. Aviation was the next phase, which started with the Wright brothers' first flight, eventually leading to commercial air travel, and it was possible to have global connectivity. Invention of IC engine in fact led to expansion of highways also. In 20th century saw the construction of extensive highway systems, enabling car centric suburbanization. In urban areas, mass transit systems like subways and buses also emerged. So, there was a time for mass transportation which was possible with the buses, and eventually it led also to the development of extensive highway networks. High speed rail network was the next in the development phase, particularly it evolved in the Europe and Asia, providing fast and efficient intercity travel. So, there was a railways which actually caused a major change, and the railways made it possible to have longer distance travel as well as transportation of goods. Additionally, the concept of intermodal transportation also began, combining different modes like rails, buses, trucks, which was prevalent at that time, and even today it is very common. Although electric vehicles actually started much earlier, but the proper systematic commercialization of electric vehicle took place in a later era. The modern era it witnessed shift towards electric vehicles somewhere in the 21st century, but its advent was much earlier. We will discuss about that in next few slides. So, electric vehicles were driven by the environmental concerns. So, once the IC engines were very popular, there was a lot of pollution also, and a lot of governments realized that because of the pollution and oil crisis, there was a need for electric vehicles. The development of self-driving car is the next phase, where autonomous self-driving cars are emerging, which is very popular in the western countries. So, these are some of the brief outlines of the different technologies, beginning with the animal power, human power, IC engines, buses, railways, ships and so on. But the electric vehicle in fact is not really new. Now, let us see the history of electric vehicle and hybrid electric vehicle in more detail. So, the advent of electric vehicle was not a new phenomena. It actually evolved much earlier as 1830s. So, it is almost 190 years old. The early development of electric vehicle was in the era of 1830s to 1900s. The first electric vehicle was developed in the early 19th century with the inventors like Robert Anderson and Gaston Plante. They made significant contributions. In 1900, the Fernand Porsche created a first hybrid car which was known as Lohner Porsche Mixte. Electric cars gained popularity in 1800s and early 1900s, especially in the urban areas because of their quieter and cleaner operation. So, although there was a not so much popularity, but still the electric vehicles started much earlier. But the problem was that these electric vehicles were for short distances only, because the battery technology was limited and there were many problems, although it was very attractive in terms of their quiet operations and environmental friendly operations. After this early development, we saw a decline phase and competition, particularly because of IC engines emergence. The invention of IC engines, it was first IC engine was Ford model was developed in 1908, and the subsequent discovery of abundant petroleum reserves. These two, IC engines and petroleum reserves, they caused IC engines to be more affordable and more practical, because IC engine cars could be traveling long distances and they were cheaper compared to electric vehicles, because there was a need for a lot of infrastructure for electric vehicles which was not ready. So, the big IC engines and the petroleum reserves, these caused the IC engine to be popularized in the mid of 19th century. This led to decline of popularity of electric vehicles. But mid of 20th century, we also saw there was a although electric vehicle was not popular, but it was still in use. One of the famous use of electric vehicle was NASA's electric lunar rover, which was used in Apollo mission, which showcased the potential of electric propulsion in 1970s. However, again the problem was that battery technology was a great problem, because there was not enough storage system available in these electric vehicles. So, as the IC engines were becoming popular, there was also a lot of concern about pollution, and this was realized by many countries. And one of the first resolution was the California Air Resources Board CARB zero emission vehicle mandate, which led to development of vehicles like GM EV1. So, this zero emission mandate was enforced, and it again gave a thrust to the electric vehicles, because IC engines were very much polluting. In 1997, Toyota introduced Prius. So, it was the second phase of evolution. Once the IC engine becoming popular in between, there was again a need for cleaner vehicles, which was electric vehicles. So, in this series, Toyota in 1997 introduced Prius. This was the first mass produced hybrid electric vehicle. It would combine the internal combustion engine and electric motor. It became a commercial success in 2000s, demonstrating viability of hybrid technology. Now, the second phase of the commercial success of electric vehicles actually started in the 21st century. Advances in lithium ion battery was a major driver. So, we had seen that earlier electric vehicle were there, but because of battery limitation, they could not travel long distances and they could not store a lot of the power. So, lithium ion battery was introduced in early 21st century. It significantly improved EV performance and range. In addition to this, government incentives also started coming because of the pollution, and increased environmental awareness fueled with rapid growth of battery technology again gave emergence to the electric vehicle market. And one of the major player in the electric vehicle was Tesla Motors. It was founded in 2003, and they introduced Roadster in 2008. It was a high performance electric sports car, followed by more affordable model of Tesla was introduced in 2016. Major automotive manufacturers also began investing heavily in electric vehicles, in hybrid electric vehicles. So, it was the second phase of popularity. It was in 21st century, beginning from year 2000. So, here is a timeline of the electric vehicle history. So, we saw that early electric vehicles were very old, almost 190 years. It started from 1830, and from 1830 to 1890 there were a lot of electric vehicles in the market. But the problem was that there was a limited range and battery technology was not so evolved. So, it then again from 1930 onwards, there was a emergence of IC engines. So, IC engines almost drove away the electric vehicles. From 1930 to 1970, EV market was actually very much declined and it almost disappeared. Again from 1970 onwards, the environmental concerns and oil crisis led to the emergence of second phase of electric vehicles, and it developed heavily in the market from 1970 onwards. And also there were government incentives as well as environmental concerns and international policies. So, from 1970 to till now 2000, there was a again growth of electric vehicles, and from 2000 onwards there have been exponential rise of electric vehicle technology. Some of these inventions are very important in the history of electric vehicles, which was one of the invention was electric motors was invented in 1831. Then first pure EV was invented in 1832. Then the chargeable battery was invented in 1881, and these are some of the important inventions for the electric vehicle technology. IC engine was of course invented in 1915, which was became very popular. Then EV disappeared in the 1900s mostly. Then there was also some other important things, such as there was a oil crisis in 1973, and there was an agreement for CO2 emissions in 1990 in fact, and there were a lot of policies which were passed on by different governments from 1990 to 2000. First EV was the commercial EV, and second phase was developed in 1992 by Toyota, which was a Prius model, Prius hybrid, and a hybrid vehicle was developed by also Toyota in 1997. There were about 3 million hybrid vehicles, electric vehicles sold by 2011. Then there was a plug-in electric vehicles which was launched in 2012, and Tesla Motors became the forerunner, and they produced 1 million electric cars by the year 2020. So, these are the popular milestones in electric vehicle technology. So, these are some of the commercially successful models, as you see in these slides here. 1873 there was a commercial electric tricycle in Britain. In America 1890 there was a electric four-wheeler, and Germany developed a BMW, electric BMW 1602E model in 1972. Then also there was a popularization of city cars in America in 1974. These are some important models. GE EV1 was developed in 1990 in America, and Japan also developed Toyota Prius in 1997, which was a very popular model. Tesla Motors again become forerunners, so they developed different models of different cars from 2000 onwards. So, here is a global increase of electric vehicle all over the world. We see that before 2000, this is the second phase of course. 2010 it was a very small number, and by the year 2000, you can see in this graph, by the year 2015 there was almost 2014-15 it was almost 1 million vehicles all over the world, and then it increased continuously. It became in almost in year 2017-18 it became almost 4 million, and then 2019-20 it became 8 millions, and now it has crossed 2020 it crossed 10 million mark. So, these are the different countries. The leader in the electric vehicle adoption is China, followed by Europe, then United States, and then other part of the world. This graph is a very important graph. It shows the different exponential rise of electric vehicle commercial vehicles in the market. So, here is another graph. It shows region wise distribution of electric vehicles in different parts of the world. Now, when it comes to India, what we see here is that in India electric vehicle become popularized in a second phase. So, you can see in this graph that from 2015-16 it was 2016 it was almost around 50,000 vehicles in the Indian market. Then it slowly increased in 2017-18 and crossing the 1 lakh electric vehicle mark in 2017-18, and till 2019 there was an increase up to 1.5 lakh vehicles, But in the COVID times, in 2020 there was a decline of electric vehicle, and finally in 2021 onwards there have been rapid increase in electric vehicle. So, 2021 there was almost 3 lakh electric vehicles in the market. So, here is the expected rise of electric vehicles in Indian market. So, in terms of revenue, or it was the EV market size was $220 million in 2020, and the growth rate is expected to be almost 94.4% from 2020 to 2030. This is the growth rate expected in the market. That means, every year in terms of revenue, in terms of market size, the EV will be growing almost double. So, the growth rate is 94.4%. If you see in terms of number of vehicles in India, there are different vehicles. This is a figure of 2023. So, it was having around 62% share was for two wheelers only. So, around 72,000 vehicles were two wheelers in 2022-23. So, it was 62% of the total electric vehicles. We also have a lot of three wheelers, that is e-rickshaws, which is shared around 34% in the market. So, in the year 22-23 around 40,000 plus in EVs three wheelers were present, and of course, electric cars have a share, four wheelers is about 4% share in 22-23, and buses has a very small share of 0.16%. This is an important graph which shows the different percentage share of electric vehicles in India. So, here is another graph which shows the EVs growth in last few years. You can see in terms of numbers, different vehicles, two wheelers, three wheelers and four wheelers. So, the future of transportation is increasingly electric. We saw in these few graphs that as I said, in Indian market almost every year it is expected to be double in terms of revenue generation, in terms of sales. The future of the market electric vehicle is very bright, with a wide range of EVs and HEVs being available in the market. Further advancement in battery technology will be very important driver. Autonomous driving is also another driver which will change the scenario, and of course, there is a need for charging infrastructure which will decide the future of electric vehicles. So, we need to have a lot of charging stations all over the country. Governments worldwide are settling ambitious targets to EV adoption, aiming to phase out IC engines. So, because of the pollution, even Indian government has signed net zero agreement. So, we are going to have more and more electric vehicles in the market, and it will promote the sustainable transportation solution with transformative impact on the automotive industry. So, let us see some of the so this is a overall history of the electric vehicles and some of the brief market size in India. Now, let us see the course content. So, this, as I said, this course has 12 weeks, and the first week we will see the overview of the course and history of electric vehicles, and we will also see the social, environmental and economical impact of electric vehicles. In week number 2, we will discuss about the basic electric vehicle dynamics. In fact, basic vehicle dynamics will be discussed, and we will also discuss about the IC engine dynamics, because it is important to understand and compare the IC engine and the electric vehicles. So, we will see the comparison of the IC engine and electric vehicles. In week 3, we will discuss about the basic of electric vehicle and hybrid electric vehicle, their configuration and their operation. So, how the electric vehicles operate, what are the different components, all those things will be seen in week number 3. Week 4 will be covering basics of plug-in hybrid electric vehicles and fuel cell vehicles, and compare different EVs and hybrid electric vehicles. In week 5, we will discuss the fundamentals of electric propulsion system and constituent technologies. In this, we will see the role of power electronics converters, which is very important, because the electric vehicle basically operate on DC. So, there is a need for voltage conversion. So, these are the very important things, the DC-DC converters and DC-AC converters, all those power electronic converters, their technologies are important, and we will discuss about them. We will also see the electronic control mechanism and the controllers in week number 5. In week 6, we will see energy sources and storage system for electric vehicles and hybrid electric vehicles. So, basically you see the different kinds of battery technologies, battery management systems, how to have heat management in batteries. Apart from battery, we also see the other technologies for storage, which is like ultra capacitor, flywheels and fuel cell technologies. In week 7, we will see electric motors and their control mechanisms, beginning with induction motors, their controls, permanent magnet motors and BLDC motors and switched reluctance motors. These are the 4 different types of motors used for EVs. We will discuss about their operation, their mechanism, their working and so on. In week 8, we will discuss about introduction to EV charging station system. What are the components of charging station, what are the different architectures of charging stations and their operation, their control. In week 9, we will discuss about further about the charging station, particularly about the power electronic side of the charging station, which is the AC DC converter, DC AC converter, because as I said, the EVs operate on DC, but the charging has to be done through AC. There is a need for converters, so which are evolving very rapidly. So, this week 9 we will be discussing about those things, and the latest in the series is the renewable energy based charging stations, which is very important and especially for the environment. So, we will discuss about REAs, that is renewable energy integration to the charging station system. And finally, we will also discuss about the wireless EV charging system, which is the latest in the development. Week 10 we will discuss about thermal management of electric vehicles. So, we see that there is a lot of heating when the electric vehicles operate. So, how to manage the heat, that we will discuss. What are the technology to control the heat and how to dissipate the heat. So, this will be discussed in week number 10. Week 11 we will discuss about different kinds of vehicle to grid, vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to load and other kinds of charging concepts. So, we can actually utilize our charging from grid, and you can in fact use the vehicle for powering the houses and so on. So, we will discuss about that in week 11. High power density drivetrain also will be discussed, and role of AI will be discussed in week number 11. And then finally, last week we will discuss about the policy, standards, guidelines and economics of electric vehicles. So, a lot of governments have different policies, including Indian government and international policies are there. So, we will discuss about those things in week number 12. And lastly, we will discuss about the business model and economics of electric vehicle. So, you are most welcome for this course. Let us discuss further about this course in next lecture. We will talk about social, environmental and economical impact of electric vehicle in the lecture number 2. Thank you and see you again. Thank you so much.